Now, there's been a continuing rise in community tensions in Leeds over the weekend after riots spread on Thursday night. The disorder started in Hare Hills after social workers were met with, quote, hostility by the Roma community while dealing with a child protection matter. Police were then called and one of their vehicles was overturned following, massive riots in this and was set fire to a double-decker bus, all of that stuff. A man has now been charged with arson and violent disorder, while 5 others were arrested on suspicion of just violent disorder. Well, since those shocking events, police have been patrolling in the area on horseback to ensure there is no more civil unrest, but there has been a bit of it. I'm joined now by the former editor of The Sun, Kelvin McKenzie. Kelvin, why do we have to put up with this stuff in Britain, really?
Well, I'm not normally critical of the police, but I find it astonishing that this kind of rioting can take place in a poor area of Leeds, but Leeds, a major metropolitan area. We should be worried about this. Why didn't the police pile in? Why did the police not pile in? If this had been the United States and this kind of rioting was going on, you'd have the National Guard, you'd have the cops, you'd have the local cops, you'd have everybody and their wife there. Where were the police?
I just wonder, it begs a question, doesn't it? Which is that from what we can glean from, some of the people involved in the area, I don't mean any disrespect to the area when I say this, but, towards maybe the lower economic spectrum,
yep.
Dare I say it as well, potentially quite a few people, I imagine, who are on things like social welfare, etc., who might have come to this country and have been given things like a house and a place to live. And you just wonder, well, if they're going to really kick right off, it does make you wonder whether there's a lack of gratitude, or is that unfair?
No, there should be gratitude. After all, the Roma community, we have the biggest Roma community in Europe, OK? They come here. Right, whether it's mainly London, and might explain why there are tents in the middle of Park Lane, for instance, but also in Leeds, it's the dominant providers of people in that particular area, and you would have thought that if the social services have come around. I don't know whether the social service has been around your house. They haven't been around mine, right? That's a pretty rare thing to happen, OK? And on that basis, why didn't they just do what normal people would do? Say, what is the issue? We have got a problem over an explanation over a passport. Yes, we'll deal with that. Instead of that, the community then turns to violence. And honestly, it's disgraceful. But why have only 5 been arrested? After all, half of the social media in the world, everybody gets their phones out now. Nobody says, how can I stop this? They say, here's the phone. And then suddenly social media are live with all this, causing tremendous political uproar.
I just wonder if it's easier to just nick... Well, it is, obviously, for the police now. I think they view it as being... It's easier to nick people...
After the event.
But from certain groups of people who they think won't kick off. And, again, it begs the question, if you do kick right off, then does that make you less likely to get arrested? Is that where we are? But there's a couple of other stories I want to get your views on. Labour are apparently talking about restricting MPs holding second jobs. So Lucy Powell, the leader of the Commons, is due to announce reforms this week that include an immediate ban on consultancy roles and fines for ex-ministers who breach lobbying rules. But fundamentally, Kelvin, should our politicians be allowed to have second jobs? Could be bad news for Nigel Farage, couldn't it?
Yes, it's shocking news for his bank manager, and also for whether he's got any money behind the bar somewhere. But the truth about the matter is I'm not entirely in agreement with this, to be honest. And they've already said that the Nigel Farages of this world are going to be allowed to continue broadcasting and write speeches and stuff like that. Of course, the thing about Starmer, of course, being Starmer the hypocrite, hello, good evening and welcome, he, of course, did work as a lawyer when he was an MP. So that's that out of the question. Now, on the lobbying side, I kind of get that. But what about this? This isn't going to apply. Not going to apply to any Labour MPs. Nobody in their right mind would hire a Labour MP. You're running a commercial company, and the guy is an anti-capitalist. He's probably some rather dim person, and also, thirdly, and more importantly, is probably an ex-trade union official. Exactly the kind of person you don't want to be lobbying for. You don't want on the board. You don't want to employ them. So they know that this rule will not apply to one single Labour MP, but it will probably affect some Tories.
I suppose, OK, I mean, I imagine that Labour MPs will deny the fact that they're all dim, which is, I think, what you're into. But this would actually have quite serious consequences as well about the kind of person that might be attracted to it. It raises the question, doesn't it, about do you not want to try to attract the kind of person into Parliament who might be able to... And that's one of the laughable things I thought when they were chasing Nigel Farage around America going, why are you here? When he was there on, a couple of days a week. Anyone who really knows the way MPs operate is that they do basically naff all in Westminster 4 days a week. Yeah. They're in the Red Lion pub by 5 p.m. most days anyway. They are not working for their constituencies the whole time. But quickly... on this, Labour are redeploying 1,000 members of the Home Office, apparently, to target nail bars and car washes, employing illegal migrants. We are going to be touching on this in the next hour, but what do you make of this? Do you think they're going after the right kind of illegal migrant here?
Well, as somebody who uses a nail bar, now I know it's...
Which end of your body is it? Is it the hands or the feet?
No, the hands, yes. The hands and the feet, actually. I'm so bone idle, I can't even be bothered to cut my own nails. How bad is that? OK, so the other aspects of it, of course, I go to another area they're going to be looking at, which is going to barbers, OK? And that's thought to be a lot of illegals in there. Now, going in there, this is basically, it's 22 quid to have my hair cut, which is £4 a hair. There's not much going on there. But, and the third point is the car wash. So I use all three of those, and I guarantee all your viewers will use all three.
So they're about to deport all the people that we use?
Yes, and but the people who are coming in, they say, who we don't use, they say, jolly good, go and live in that hotel or go and live in that free rented home over there. So, look, in France, by the way, which is incredible, they actually they don't allow car washes. Right, because there were too many illegals taking part in it. And that's probably what's going to happen over here. You're going to have to wash your own car. How bad's that? Washing your own car?
Well, you're going to have to
Very 70s.
You're going to have to cut your own nails as well.
Nightmare.
And trim your own hair. But there we are. All right, Kelvin, thank you very, very much. That is the wonderful Kelvin McKenzie there, former editor of The Sun.